So I'm on the road with the Dirty Blondes. We are headed to Big Time Wrestling, Darien, Georgia. And we just thought we would let you guys in on some of the fun we're having on the road here. After Big Time, we're going to drive all night to San Antonio for Branded Outlaw?
Branded Outlaw Wrestling.
Branded Outlaw Wrestling. So this is going to be fun. You guys worked with Big Time before, right?
Yeah, we've worked there a couple times. They run all over, like the Northeast.
Yeah. And I know on this show there's supposed to be Scott Steiner, Rock and Roll Express,
Hacksaw Jim Duggan,
of course.
Ryan, where's your hoe?
Oh, nothing. So what's your guys' favorite part about working with Big Time?
Big Time? The crowds are always really good. Like, I feel like every show we've ever done for them, they had really big crowds, and we always get to wrestle the Rock and Roll Express, so that's always fun. And I don't know, it's just a really, really good quality professional show that takes care of the fans. You know, like they're really big on their meet and greets and stuff like that before the shows, and they bring in a lot of big name guys for the fans to meet and get autographs and pictures with. So
you've mentioned before that you've worked with the Rock and Roll Express a couple of times before, right?
Yeah.
What's it like working with those guys?
Oh man, it's so much fun. It's like a day off with those guys. Like they're such. I mean, dude, they're so good at what they do. I think like half the time they don't even think about what they're doing. They just go in there and do it.
It's natural.
Yeah. So I mean, easily two of the best guys to ever get in the ring with and learn from.
And have you only worked with them at Big Time, or have you worked at other promotions?
No, we've
too?
worked other promotions, Big Time, and then actually Robert Gibson has his own wrestling school up in Douglasville, Georgia, APCW.
Oh, okay.
And he does some shows kind of like in conjunction with that. So we've done some stuff with him up there too.
So Michael, you're working the Rock and Roll Express tonight. How do you feel about it?
Man, I feel great. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna show these guys who the real rock and rollers are, baby.
But quick, like a minute.
It's a tag team match scheduled for one fall. Being escorted to the ring by Mr. T. Hey! Thank you all. Would you please give a big round of applause?
So since we are on a road trip, what is your favorite road trip snack of choice?
I don't know, man.
What do you guys usually take with you on a road trip?
I usually just get junk food at the gas station. What about you?
Slim Jims and Natty Lights.
Slim Jims and Natty Lights. That's when we're with the Colonel. That's his favorite.
Slim Jims and Natty Lights.
Yeah, and then by the time you get where you're going, your car smells like Slim Jims, Natty Lights, and beer farts.
What's the furthest you guys have ever traveled to get to a show, like in one sitting?
In one sitting? God, I don't know. Probably either Texas or New York. One or the other. What would you say? Yeah. Texas or New York. Where you just like get to the point where like you get there and you don't even want to wrestle. You just want to go to sleep.
So basically tonight.
Probably tonight.
Probably
yeah.
tonight.
Definitely tonight. So, but it's worth it, man. It's definitely worth it. That, you know, it's like we were talking earlier about how a lot of guys say they want to get out there and do it, but I think when they realize that it's not easy and it's not just going to get handed to you, that you actually have to get in the car and you actually have to drive, you actually have to make it happen for yourself. I think that's the part that discourages a lot of people from actually doing it. It's not hard, you know, it's not hard at all. It's not expensive. You know, you can figure out ways to save money. You know, you get a car full of guys to chip in on gas, expenses, hotels, stuff like that. Or, you know, sometimes you don't even need to get a hotel. You just sleep at a rest stop or something like that. And it's not like, you know, oh, you got to pay your dues. It's just, unfortunately, sometimes if you don't have a name value behind you and the promoter doesn't know who you are,
You're not going to make as much.
yeah. So why you know, his job should be to book people on his show that's going to draw fans to buy tickets. So it's like, you know, if you're just fresh out of wrestling school and you live in Florida, why should I pay you $150, $200 to drive out to, or to even come out to Texas when you're just an unproven commodity, you know?
So as a status update, it's about 3:46 a.m. Central Time, so that's about 4:46 a.m. Eastern Time. And we are just about to pass Pensacola on our way to San Antonio. We had a great show last night. Looking forward to a great show tonight, and that is the status check-in. So we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in the morning. Still on our way to San Antonio, Texas. Guys, how do you feel about your match last night?
I feel like we put up a valiant effort, but despite how hard we fought, we still came out on the losing end.
That is a
Not
very
to mention-
stereotypical answer.
Not to mention the referee was probably crooked.
No, I have pretty good authority. It was a great route.
It's questionable.
This was the first time working with Hacksaw for Leo, but was it for you too, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
Oh, it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
So who are some guys that you've road tripped with before?
We used to go a lot with Rex Bacchus.
Yeah.
Rex was one of our regular road trip buddies. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Brian? Mason Ryan, back in the day, there was a time when like us and Mason Ryan were like, the three of us were like inseparable. We were on the road together pretty much every weekend, and then he had to go and join the circus and get a real job, so yeah, probably making more money though.
Oh, yeah. Plus all his travel's probably covered,
Yeah.
and he's getting to fly everywhere.
Yeah, Ryan Ocean is another guy. Ryan Ocean, Rob Love, some friends of ours that I met in Texas, but we do quite a few road trips when we can with Ryan Ocean out and about.
So what is a Facebook appropriate road story, crazy road story you can tell?
Well, we told you the one earlier where we went and got tacos at 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's true.
I can't tell the rest
You
of that
can't tell the
story.
part before
Yeah.
that. What led to the tacos at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I'm sure some people would get divorced if we told that story.
That's probably true. So what's the longest you've been away from home on one particular trip? Like you were hitting town after town after town. What's the longest stretch you've had?
I mean, we've done weeks at a time.
Yeah?
Yeah, we had a trip one time where we went from like Alabama to Memphis over to Dallas and then back. Just
Yeah, that'd take at least a week and a half, 2
Yeah.
weeks.
I mean, really, being on the road, being an independent wrestler on the road, it gets addictive sometimes. Like, there are times when I'm sitting at home during the week and I'm just bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I can't wait to get on the road. It's like, either you're born to do it or you're not. You know, it's not for everybody to be out on the road for like days or weeks at a time.
So what advice would you give to people who are just starting out as a wrestler or are interested in becoming a wrestler or, you know, even have been doing it a while but haven't found their footing? I mean, like you guys, you're booked everywhere. It seems like you're busy every single week.
Right.
With several bookings back to back. What advice would you give to people who are trying to get to that place?
Don't do it. Go find something else to do.
So that they don't take your spot?
No, not even that. But no, it's kind of what we touched on earlier about it's just it's not for everyone. It's not easy. You know, people, and like you said earlier, it's almost like a reflection on society. You know, college isn't for everybody. Not everybody is smart enough to go to college.
I didn't go to college. I tried.
Right.
That was it.
Not everybody is supposed to go to college. Not everybody is supposed to be a professional wrestler. So, you have a lot of these people, like you said, they go to wrestling school, they do their, 6 months to a year of training, they go get their wrestling boots, they jump right out of wrestling school. I mean, I've heard stories of people that have jumped right out of wrestling school that are like, okay, this is how much money I need to come wrestle, and the promoter's like, are you kidding me, right? Like, who are you? How, like, what have you done to prove your value and your worth as a wrestler? I think people, don't get me wrong, don't whore yourself out, but just be smart about where you take your bookings and what's going to get you, the best exposure. Like early on, I had a rule of 3. I either had to be getting a really good payday, which very rarely ever happened. I had to either be getting some kind of exposure, whether that was like a bigger show in front of a bigger audience, maybe it was being filmed for something, or I had to be in the ring with, a veteran, a name guy, or somebody that was at least more talented than me, so that I knew I was going to have a good match and I was going to learn something and get better. So that was my rule of 3 early on. It had to be one of those 3 things in order for me to take a booking. When you're straight out of wrestling school, go take those $20, $30 bookings that are close to the house. Don't worry about how bad the show is. Don't worry about how good the show is. Just worry about yourself. Worry about whether or not you're improving, you're getting better, you're getting exposure, you're getting your name and your face out there. There's going to come a time when you have to kind of get away from those shows. You kind of have to start to step up and say, okay, I'm getting better. I'm getting more exposure. I'm going to ask for an extra, $10, $15, $20 and see how that goes. There's nothing wrong with that. But you just have to be realistic about who you are and where you're at in your journey, because again, the funny part is, like, the Dirty Blondes, I mean, we're on TV for MLW just about every week, and we still have to get in the car and drive to Georgia.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We still have to get in the car and drive to certain shows because we're not there yet. We're kind of climbing that ladder. We're kind of sort of getting our names out there, and we're definitely a lot further along than we were, say, a year or 2 ago. But we still haven't arrived. We still haven't gotten there.
Yeah, even though you've been in this business so long, and even though guys are getting booked everywhere and traveling everywhere, you are still having to earn that place. You're still having to fight.
Exactly.
To get more. Like, you haven't hit a point where you're satisfied.
Exactly. And wrestling also is what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
All it takes, what would you say, Ryan? We miss a couple weeks and it's like, damn, out of sight, out of mind. Somebody is ready to jump into that spot and missing a couple of weeks off of a show or 1 or 2 months off of a show, and somebody's jumping right into that spot. So you constantly have to constantly be working, constantly reinventing yourself, and just constantly paying those dues. Like I don't care. You're never really going to stop paying those dues until you make it.